Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. So I want to ask you, what does rescue mean to you? When I say the word that I rescued pets, what does that mean?
Saving.
Are we thinking about some sort of vicious dog that got turned around by Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer? Are we thinking about some desperate abandoned street hound? Are we thinking about some pit bull that attacked their neighbors? Well, I'm going to share with you our story and give you a little bit of my life with my boys and tell you what we went through and some of our experiences to hopefully help see the benefits of adopting and rescuing pets. Unfortunately, our story started much like other stories do, and that is that 7.6 million pets every year enter animal shelters. And of those, 2.7 million are euthanized. That's 1.2 million dogs, 1.4 million cats. To put that in perspective, that means one pet dies every 13 seconds. So during my 7-minute speech tonight, 30 pets will have died in shelters. So let's talk a little bit about a different version or a different outcome, and that's my boys. So in the middle, you're going to see Richard Alexander, Philip Michael, Zeus, and Bacchus. Don't let looks be deceiving. I want to tell you a little bit of their story and how they came into my life. So first I got Alex. And then, a year later, I got a phone call from the woman at the horse farm where Alex was from, and a lady had brought back Philip. His name was Cappuccino at the time, but who can have a dog named Cappuccino, right? The lady's lifestyle had changed. Well, after a decade-long time with Phil, I realized that the only thing that changed in her life was the need to get rid of Phil, but that's a different story. So Phil was at the horse farm. A guy came to visit to board his horses, and he was there. Phil's about a year old. Phil's playful. He's rambunctious. He's 85 pounds, an enormous poodle. And so the guy pushes Phil away. Phil thinks he wants to play, right? So grabs his hand. The guy thinks he's being bitten, so the guy takes off running. Phil's like, game on, right? So Phil chases him, grabs his leg, the guy falls, they roll around in the dust. It's like an awesome day for Phil, right? Unfortunately, the guy goes to the local sheriff and files a complaint. Now, I ask you, wouldn't you have to check any manhood you had if you're filling out a box and on the box it says mauled by poodle? The good news for Phil is the local sheriff was friends with the lady at the horse farm. So he called her and told her, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I have to pick up the dog. And tomorrow at 8 a.m. when I come to pick up the dog, I will have to take him with me. And if, assuming he is there at 8 a.m., I will have to have him put down. So she called me, and I immediately went and got Phil after I told her, of course, I couldn't take another dog. I had dogs before, but anyway, I took Phil. So my story to everyone is Phil is a wanted man in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. He was on the run from the on the run from the law. Now, unfortunately, Phil and Alex became absolute hoodlums. And they started to create a little bit of a problem in the neighborhood. My next door neighbor one day, Karen, said to me, you got to do something with your dogs. Like what? We're really good friends. I have a fence. I don't leave them in the yard. What's the issue? She said, they're terrorizing my son. I'm like, Karen, how are they terrorizing the son? What do they do, bark through the fence? She's like, no, you don't understand. They're torturing my son. Like, yeah. So one day I was up on the second or third floor in the house and I was looking out and I saw the little 3-year-old come down the steps. Jeffrey was his name. We called him Snuggie. So Snuggie gets to the steps. He looks around, and takes off. And about the time he hits the point of no return, I see these two blurs, one black, one white. They hit him, they knock him down, take his food, take his toys, and come back to my yard. They mugged him. So I figured, I got to do something, right? So I enrolled Phil in doggy obedience school, but I found a great obedience school. They believe that good dogs happen to bad people. And so what they do is they separate you from your dog, they train the dog, and then they bring you back, right? Well, I heard this as an hour at Starbucks, right? And Phil gets better. So I went, I had my hour at Starbucks. I get back, and the lady tells me, you know, Some dogs mature at different rates. Perhaps when he's a bit older. And I said, well, what are you telling me? She said, well, quite frankly, he's interfering with the students who wish to learn. So that was Phil washing out of obedience school. Someday I'll tell you about the Kansas City panhandling, which ended with them blocking the on-ramp to I-70 as they were begging for breakfast sandwiches. That's another story. Then we moved to Scottsdale, and we joined a poodle group, and we became accepted members of society. This is Phil in front of the Mercedes and Bacchus play. So what are some of the benefits of having pets? Why should you have a pet? Well, first off, pets decrease blood pressure. Multiple studies have shown it. Decreases cholesterol, decreases feelings of loneliness, and they found helps Alzheimer's patients fight and deal with outbursts and changes in their environment. Pets can also increase your opportunities for exercise and outdoor activity. It's Bacchus at the top of the mountain. They can improve your opportunities for socialization. In New York, we call them date magnets, or other magnets. But I think on a more fundamental level, pets teach us. They teach children because they positively affect self-esteem and empathy. As adults, they teach us responsibility and compassion. But even more importantly, they make us smile. So I hope everyone considers a pet. I hope everyone considers having a pet. I hope everybody has the joy of a pet. But more importantly, my challenge to you would be, when you consider getting a pet, adopt. There are purebred rescues, there are beautiful, wonderful mixed breeds like Lolo. There are all these wonderful pets that need homes, and we don't need to see 30 dogs die in one speech. Thank you.